In this video, let's talk about hitting in slow pitch. I'm going to give you some fundamentals of your stance. So if you want to improve your consistency, improve your power, get more hits, get on base more often, contribute to your slow pitch team, figuring out what works for you and what doesn't in your hitting stance is super important. And I made a video on beginner hitting in general, so kind of start to finish, but this video is going to drill down more on the stance and some of the do's and don'ts and some of the things that are negotiable that I think you should tinker with and work on and consider for yourself. So in this video, we're going to talk all about the stance in slow pitch softball. All right, so let's talk about a good launch position as a slow pitch hitter, and then we'll backtrack from there and fill out what your stance should look like to get you to this good launch position. So launch position is once my front foot has hit and my heel is completely down and my feet are wide and I have more weight in my back leg. My knob is pointed more or less towards the catcher, so that means I've counter-rotated my upper body. This is the launch position that we want, where now my hips are going to rotate first, and then my upper body in the barrel is going to come through after that. So the question is, how can we get to that position? So the way we do that with your stance, there's a lot of different aspects that we're going to jump through right now. So first item in your stance as a slow pitch hitter is where you hold your hands. Again, our goal is we're going to sort of follow the breadcrumbs back. I want to get to this position here. All the good hitters get here. So if you want to hold your hands here and you can still get them here in time because that makes you feel comfortable, that's totally fine. The biggest thing is, and you'll see this in Major League Baseball, there are lots of strange stances, and there's been a million unique stances, like Gary Sheffield did this, right? The big thing, though, that unites everyone in baseball, softball, fast pitch, slow pitch, is they all get back to here, no matter how weird they start. So what you do with your hands is completely up to you. But the question you have to ask yourself is, do the way I hold my hands, if it's kind of weird or like out of place, whatever, does that hurt me? Does it hurt my ability to get to this same spot in the exact same way every single time? Because if you took a photo of you in every at bat, you want to be in the same exact position every time. You want to have ultra consistency in how you stride, how you land, where your body is in space in every single aspect of your every single swing. So if you have your hands all the way up here, and one time you land here, and the next time you land here, and the next time you land here, you're going to have an inconsistent swing because you're landing in an inconsistent position with your hands. So again, you can do whatever you want. You could be like this, as long as you get here. But you have to ask yourself, is it making it harder for me to be consistent in getting into the right position? That's the thing you have to ask yourself with your hands in your stance. Next, and this is really the biggest piece for slow pitch hitters, different types of strides. So I'm going to draw some lines in the box here. I'm going to draw a line from my back foot and where I want my front toe to land. And I'm going to put where I think I want my starting foot to be. I feel most comfortable with my feet close, and then I sort of just slide this foot, I pick it up, I shift my weight into my back leg, I load my back leg, and then I just sort of slide this foot and I widen up. Again, you have to be pretty wide to shift weight and be powerful as a hitter in slow pitch, fast pitch, baseball, any of them. But how you get there is negotiable. So if I want to do the first way, which is a slide stride, I'm going to say, okay, this is where I want to start. So I'm going to make lines so I can give myself feedback, making sure I don't start in a different spot every single time when I practice. So I can line my toes up. And now I land on the second line every single time I stride. So that's my goal here. I'm here to here. Now, if you want to do that sort of stride and you're comfortable with it, like I am, great. The next thing you could do is leg kick. And this could be a little leg kick. It could be a big leg kick and a fall, whatever you feel comfortable with. This is a good way, I think, a lot of times to know if I lift my leg up, as long as I'm not diving forward, this really helps me load my backside. That's why a lot of Major League Baseball hitters, they do a big leg kick. And in softball, a lot of people do a decent sized leg kick because when they lift it up, it almost automatically helps them shift their weight back, and then they go out. And the third thing you could do is you could just start wide. Ultimately, the linear momentum you gain from the stride is not that important. If it was, every Major League Baseball player would be jettisoning towards the front of the plate. But even some of the world's best hitters getting paid $20 million a year, many of them start pretty wide. Mike Trout starts pretty wide. He picks up, puts back down, but he's not moving forward that much. And so you got to ask, if it's good enough for some of them, will it work in slow pitch too? It absolutely will. So now when you have more time, a longer stride can be a timing mechanism. And that's why I personally feel like I like mine. I like striding out rather than starting wide. But I guarantee you, if I started as wide as I wanted to be and picked up and went, I would still hit the ball as hard from that as I would with my stride. If not, it might be like 1 or 2 miles per hour difference. But it might be worth it if I'm more consistent, right? If I'm very inconsistent doing this, not landing in the same spot every time, but if I just pick up and put down, I'm more consistent, that might be worth more, and I hit the ball harder more consistently because I'm consistent with my mechanics rather than trying to go for broke and throwing myself towards the ball. So whether you slide out with your stride as a hitter, whether you leg kick stride as a hitter, or you start wide, pick up and put down, it's completely up to you. Those are your options, but you have to get wide and get to that launch position so you can transfer power through your lower body, through your core, upper body, and then to the bat. Number 2, your overall posture in the box. If your butt's out and you're kind of leaned over, or your elbows are up like this, or you're kind of hunched, whatever it is, does that help or hurt my ability to get into this great launch position every time, right? So if you feel comfortable kind of upright like this, like my upper body is still pretty tall, do I want to be bent over and then have to get back up tall? Or do I want to be ultra tall and then have to bend my legs more? Do I want to do that? What makes it easiest on me? But think about your posture, because a lot of people just, this is the way I always hit, a lot of bend and my butt back and whatever, but that maybe makes it hard, and because they're right here and now they're not getting much power. So ask yourself, how do I feel comfortable here? And what kind of initial starting posture is going to make it easiest for me to get to that position? Number 3, let's talk about rhythmic timing. And I mentioned this a little bit in talking about our stance as a hitter. Gary Sheffield, I was an Atlanta Braves fan as a kid. He had this wacky bat waving. And it was real like intimidating and cool. But the thing is, if you taught little kids how to hit like this, or you taught, brand new players to slow pitch how to doing this, they would find it very hard to get in the exact same spot every time and be consistent with every single swing they take. Gary Sheffield was a world-class athlete, so he could do this as his timing mechanism, and whatever it was he did to get there, he could do it, right? But the way you teach most beginners, and this is a beginner level video, is let's just be close. Let's be close to the position we want to be in, which again is here. So if you have some little timing things, like I do little timing things in the box, I'll kind of wiggle my bat a little bit. I think it just kind of like, a lot of athletes don't like being still and then going into motion. They like being slightly in motion and then everything goes at once. That's kind of normal, and maybe it's nervous energy. I don't really know the point. But I feel comfortable having a little bit of wiggle, but it's not so much where my bat's ever leaving this area, right? I'm not doing the Gary Sheffield, and I'm not holding the bat up here either. So if you want to have some little bit of timing things, that's totally fine. Just again, ask yourself the big question, does it hurt or help, or is it neutral to my ability to get into a great launch position every single time? So as a slow pitch player, especially as a beginner, how will you figure out what's best for you? You have to tinker and you have to practice a little bit. Now, I know you're not going to invest a lot of time. You're not going to go out, maybe do what I'm doing and hit balls that $80 a dozen for softballs and an $80 tee. You might not want to invest anything. But if you can borrow someone's bat or pick up a cheap bat on Facebook Marketplace, on Craigslist for $10, even if it's a crappy bat that you don't want to use in a game, you can draw lines on the ground, use masking tape, in your house or on a local basketball court, wherever, and you can take dry swings and work on the mechanics and whatever you're trying to get consistent at. And if you just did this for 4 minutes a night, you would get consistently better at doing this in a game, and you'd make leaps and bounds in your consistency, making sure that your weight was back and everything was the same every swing you took. So just work on your lower half, and then you can graduate to full dry swings, right? And say your weight's really leaking forward and you want to fix that. Well, you can check yourself when you take dry swings. How does my weight feel? Is it in my back leg, right? How does my bat path look when I take my swing? Do I have too much of an uppercut? Maybe I had a baseball past and I'm trying to not get so much uppercut in my softball swing, right? So now I can work on coming down on the ball to get backspin as a softball player. So dry swings and just tinkering, trying different things, seeing what feels comfortable to you, that's the way to start figuring out what's best for you as a rec slow pitch softball player. And then the next progression is actually hitting off a tee. I was hitting a ton today, so I'll take a swing here just to oblige you, viewer. But after you've taken a bunch of dry swings, then you can hit off the tee. Hopefully you have a cage, whatever, applying everything you did on your dry swing, but now to actually making contact with the bottom half of the softball to try to lift and get some backspin. And then the next progression from that is go to a batting cage, you know, throw some quarters in the machine and work on all the same stuff. Do I feel my mechanics in the same spot? And I can hit live pitching. But that's sort of the basic progression to get better as a slow pitch hitter. So those are the basics. If you want to improve your hitting and have more fun in slow pitch, just going through the fundamentals, dry swings, hitting off a tee, going to the cage, hitting off the machine, those can make a really big difference, even if it's just a couple days a week or 5 minutes a night. As long as you're putting some effort into becoming more consistent and also understanding what worked for you and what doesn't as a hitter, you're going to make leaps and bounds, and you're really going to start to feel that consistency improve. And then with that comes confidence, and then everything is going to start to have that hockey stick effect where you become a really confident, strong hitter in the game.